Grand Cathay Walk with the Dragon mod spotlight, monsters, cavalry, and war machines. In today's video, we're going to be looking at their stats, how they look, and showing off a little bit of combat. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can catch my future content. We're going to start off with the war machine section because there's only two. One's an artillery piece and one is a boat. We have the bronze cannons here with two different fire modes. They have direct fire and arc fire, which have a little bit different stats. I'll be honest though, the arc fire is not, it's arced like a tiny bit. It's not super different than the regular fire mode, but there are different stats. Those are the two different fire modes, as you can see. They're just slightly different, and I had to show them off in melee because I like that color green on the troops. Probably a critical thought on this one, but the dragon arc here as a flying boat, I've seen this done by other modders, and I was not overall impressed with this unit. I feel like it's kind of middling at best, but if you like it, you like it. I just wasn't a big fan. We're now at the cavalry section. First up, we have the Jade Chariots, and I always like chariot units just because I like the looks and the design. They're just so much more for the little details that make them stand out, and the modder did a fantastic job here in how they look. Their stats are pretty okay, and they're always a joy to watch in combat. Probably one of my favorite cavalry units here in this mod, the Kashig. If I'm pronouncing that right. I like that some of them have spears, some of them have glaives. I like there's a combination in there, and they look really good. I like the black, gray, silverish look to them. I think they're phenomenal, and they did really good work in combat. The Celestial Dragon Cavalry, super love these guys. Reminded me of the Shogun 2 Katana Cav. I just really liked overall how the unit looked, and it's more of a melee, less charge bonus style of cavalry unit. But overall, I'm just a big fan. It looks good. I like the flags, and I would definitely see myself running this type of unit in my campaigns. Less of a fan of this unit, but they do have a good passive ability, Moonlight Ceremony. It actually heals them a little bit. So I've got to say they are going to be powerful because of that, but I just wasn't a big fan overall of the look of this unit. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's just my opinion on it. This unit right here, they have the Lance formation ability, so they can actually go into a tighter formation, which increases mass. I do like this unit a lot. They're super heavy armored up top. The horse is armored. I just overall big fan of the look, design, and just everything about this unit. I just overall enjoyed it. An extremely strong cavalry unit here. We have the Guanyin Cavalry. As they take out enemy units, overall they get a percentage increase toward their acceleration, speed, mass, charge bonus. They become extremely strong in combat, so if you're charging and backing off and charging and backing off, these guys are going to rack up a tremendous amount of kills. And a basic missile cav here. Obviously, I do like that they're themized, but they are just really a plain. They fire while moving. They're a lower cost missile cav unit. So if you like running missile cav and you like harassing your enemies, then you're going to love them. Another missile cav here, the Line Breakers. Again, it's just an upgrade. I mean, compared to the last missile cav you've seen in this one, I mean, these ones are just better across the board. Overall, I wasn't a huge... I mean, the missile cav did all right. I mean, I did have them shooting heavily armored targets, so maybe that's causing it. And at the end here, you are going to see a volley combination where it shows all three of the missile units here firing at the same target. So you kind of get to check that out. Really big fan of the look of these guys, the Imperial Kirin archers. I like that their arrows are blue. Their model itself, just the dragonish cavalry unit, it just looks really, really good. They look good in combat. The unit looks good up top. Overall, I'm just a big fan of this, and it's a great unit. I mean, this unit's going to do whatever you want it to do, pretty much.
The trees will protect us.
The Storm Riders here is a tier 5 unit, and they do have a contact passive ability. So when they charge into a formation, as long as it's spread out by so many seconds, there's going to be like a wave water attack, tier-shaped attack that comes out magically and hits them. Overall, I'm a big fan of this, and I do like the setup. And then we have your typical monster cav here with just an exceptional level of strength and stats. These guys here are just going to rip and tear into whatever unit you put them against. I do like the gold, I do like the shimmering, and I do like the people up top. And their dual axes look sick. Overall, I'm a big fan of this. I would actually like to see them on the ground with just their dual axes. I think they would look really awesome just fighting like that, but big fan of this. These guys here, the rat soldiers, their yellow sand shield ability was kind of odd in my opinion. I don't think I would run it, but maybe you could find a purpose for it. I just didn't really, I checked it out. I wouldn't be really impressed. But overall, it's just pretty much a low tier infantry unit that are rats, and you can have them. So I think that's kind of cool. Just kind of gives you more variety. I mean, they are really weak though. Definitely more of a fan of these rats, the rat captains. They do have an ability called Coal Ash Bomb, and pretty much they throw grenades. Also, they have a pass ability called Death Without Regret. So when these guys get taken out, they actually suicide bomb themselves, but they just blow up. And so they take out enemies around them. So overall, these guys are a unit. You're going to get all your money spent into them back to you, and they're just a great unit. And we've got some terracotta automatons, pretty much they're terracotta sentinels in a large group, shortened down to man size. I probably could have got better footage, or maybe their animations are just kind of weird. I just couldn't catch them really doing any melee attacks very often. So I really couldn't understand it. Maybe it was just the timing, or they're surrounded, I'm not sure. Really like these lion warriors. I just like their design and their look and just how they are in combat. Just a big fan of this. And I think this really adds some cool variety into Grand Cathay to stand out from just human. So overall, I was just a really big fan of this. I mean, look at the way they're swinging these weapons. Oh, it just looks good. We have the Guardians of Jade, which we've talked about before, pretty much a shrunken down terracotta sentinel. I mean, the same idea. And you have a whole bunch of them. Overall, I like these guys in combat. They're more of the defensive focus compared to the last one that was more offensive focus, so I'm a big fan of this. These guys just did not do good in combat. I'm gonna be honest. I just didn't see them really doing that good. Maybe they're just not good against armored targets. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe against like lower tier or medium tier units, or just units with low armor, they would do better. But yeah, these guys just, I don't know. They didn't do that well. Similar to the other Jade unit we saw earlier, these guys are a little bit larger and there's less of them, obviously, as you can see. So they do kind of fill in that, monster style role. I do like the unit. They do have armor piercing. They're good against infantry. There's not a lot of abilities there, but overall, if you just want a monster unit to throw into into battle, these guys are going to be able to do that pretty well for you. Out of all these smaller styles monster units we've looked at, the Mountain Elders are probably one of my favorites because of the way they're designed. When they walk, they're just walking slow. Man, they look like badasses, I'm going to be honest. So, I mean, overall, I was very impressed on how they look and how they did in combat, and overall, just a big fan of this. Like, if I could pick one monster unit out of all the small ones, these would be the ones I would pick to run in combat, and my second favorite's coming up. Ignore the green you see here because I'm pretty sure that's a graphical bug, because in the combat when they're fighting in my recordings, I don't see the green at all, and on some of them it fades. I think it's a bug, but these are my second favorite unit, the Ivory Road Ogres. They look phenomenal, they perform what you'd expect as an ogre unit, and I would just love to throw these guys into my Grand Cathay battles, so big fan. We're now getting into the single entity larger monster units. We have Xingyao, the Beheaded. Obviously, as you can see, he has no head. It's just a bunch of hair up there. I don't know the lore behind that, but you can kind of read it up there about his head getting cut off. Overall, though, I do like his armor style. I do like his shield, do like his weapon. Everything about him looks phenomenal. He doesn't really have any crazy abilities or anything like that. He's just a pure, muscular, melee badass. The Marshal of Tianping is kind of an odd monster unit because it's offensive and defensive. It's actually designed to go into combat, take a whole bunch of damage, and start reflecting that damage back to its enemies. And as it takes damage, it actually increases its defense stats as well. And if things get too bad for it, you can transform it into a bunch of flies and escape the battle. So overall, the idea is throw it into combat, let it put out a bunch of that damage, and then pull it back. I am not even going to try to pronounce that name. The Forest Wanderer, here you can see it's a giant panda smoking a bamboo cigar, which I love, which I think is pretty cool. I've got to say the ability Liquor Storm, man, it's a strong ability. You can only use it once per battle, and it just does massive damage to surrounding enemies, as you're about to see. An elephant in bipedal form is a terrifying thing to think of, and I've got to say this pulls it off, as you're about to see with its punch. Also, it has two abilities. One ability pretty much disrupts enemy formations around it, knocking them back, and the other one is an ability that targets a single entity and removes 100% of its damage reduction. So it doesn't get, pretty much whatever hero or lord or monster it hits, they're going to be able to take massive damage after that from other units. The Lord of Thunder is a flying monster here. It can throw out lightning with an ability, and the other ability, Heavenly Thunderbolt, actually takes out any units nearby that are less than 10% HP. So if you have a bunch of weak units, it can just instantly take a bunch out. I wasn't a huge fan of this guy. I do think he looks good. I just don't know if I would actually run him because his abilities don't really interest me that much compared to the others. The Heavenly King, Shai Ping, is all about reflecting and blocking missiles attacks. So pretty much a lot of his abilities are redirecting missile attacks back at enemies around him. He has two abilities directed toward that. So pretty much if you want to put him near units you're trying to protect from arrow fire or other ranged attacks. A giant that actually has some thought put into its abilities, the Cloud Walking Giant. He has an ability called Majestic Mountains, which causes an explosion effect around him, and the Giant Deity ability, where he will take damage over time, and at certain points he will deal that damage back to the enemies around him. And look at these guys thinking they're going to make it by him. He just swipes them. Heavenly King Dunhuang has some really cool abilities. The Sword of Wisdom actually calls down a sword that impacts and does damage, and it also negates any magical weapons nearby for a certain period of time. The Gourd of Health also has an ability that heals surrounding units and will buff up some other stats like their armor piercing. The Celestial Inspector here is a flying monster. He does have a fire missile attack, magic missile attack in his abilities list, and his passives are really either greater than 50% or less than 50%, but they're all like charge bonus, armor piercing. They're more toward cavalry, I would feel like, than anything. But overall, I mean, he's not a bad unit. I just wasn't like super impressed, but I think he has a really cool design. I do like the glowing on his certain body parts. It looks good. It stands out. The Heavenly King Zufu. He has two abilities. He has the Daemon Sealing Pagoda, which is an explosion attack. And then he also has Angry Eye Deity, which will lower leadership nearby and increases as he takes out more people. And also it removes unbreakable and like psychological effects. So he can make units retreat that usually would never retreat, pretty much. He looks pretty awesome. I love the arms, and I love his weapon. He just looks good. Heavenly King Wen Chin probably has the best looking ability in this mod. Under the Shocking Umbrella, it calls down a storm cloud above and it just starts lightning hitting everything within this range. It just looks so good. I'm just a huge fan of this. That alone would make me want to pick this unit. And of course, he literally looks like an umbrella. I like his coloring. Just overall, there's nothing I would change on this unit. This unit right here is almost like a hero or a lord. The Vermilion Bird here, it has a lot of different fire-based attacks in bird form, and then on top of that, it can transform into a human, and it gives it entirely different flame-based attacks. There's a lot of versatility with this unit and how you want to run it. So you've seen the bird get called down. There's going to be another fire tornado after it goes into its human form, and then it's going to end with a fire wall of tornadoes moving forward. Probably one of the most basic units in this mod, but it does its job. The Black Tortoise here with a giant cannon on top does tremendous damage. I mean, tremendous damage. With its shots, it's not flashy. You're not like, oh wow, when you see it, but it gets the job done. And if you're looking for a monster just to make things easier, this guy's going to do it. So yeah, just a plain monster unit. Similar to the tortoise, we have the white tiger, which is another creature that's just like extremely simple, but just extremely strong. It's just going to bounce around the battlefield, tearing everything up that it attacks. In my opinion, it's fast for a big monster. It's fast. And on combat, it was hard to record because it just bounces everywhere. We have the Ancient Queen missile monster here with not one, but two abilities that are both breath attacks. So you have a lot of ranged firepower going on here. Before enemies even get close, you get them with two breath attacks, plus its regular ranged attack, then put it in melee. This thing can put out a lot of damage. And that is the end of the mod spotlight, guys. Make sure you check out the other two videos which show the other units in the mod. We have fully covered all of the units and walk with the dragon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.